Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing good, and welcome back to this um, a brief presentation on how to memorize tools and techniques in the most logical and easy manner. Um, a lot of people have this question if there is some sort of memorization that goes into project management exam. Definitely, you're not supposed to memorize everything, but there are certain things if you can memorize, it can help you a lot. This video is brought to you by PMP Mad Easy, and go ahead subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and keep a lookout for all these amazing videos that we will probably be uploading in the future. And we also have a Telegram group where a lot of your peers who are going through the same process would be are also there, and they can help you out too. So without further ado, just a brief and small presentation on how to memorize the tools and techniques. So the first the first thing that you need to remember is that almost all the tools and techniques in the PMP exam can be categorized into six broad categories. They could either fall under data gathering, data analysis, data representation, decision-making techniques, communication skills, and interpersonal and team skills. So if you can have a good knowledge of what that tool and technique is, you can that can go a long way. Um, for instance, there are certain processes that are just used to gather information, gather previous documents, such as lessons learned, such as templates. So those, if you know that what kind of data gathering technique is used for that particular process, it just becomes easier for you to remember that. So that's one thing that you can do is to broadly know which tool and techniques fall under which of the six categories. And for more information on which of the tools and techniques are under each of these categories, please uh, reach out to us, and we can share you a document which enlist all those. So yeah, that will be the first thing. Is the most logical and easy way is to make sure that you can remember that there are six broad categories. There are certain for people who are working on projects in technical roles, they are fairly, they know a lot of data gathering, data analysis, and data representation techniques because that's what their role is. That's most of their role is. So it becomes easier for them to remember or to know these techniques. So if you are in the technical position in a management role, this is where you can start from, because it would be easier to memorize those techniques and where they're used. And if someone is actually on the human side of the project or the soft skill side of the the management side, they are more in tune with the decision-making techniques, the communication skills, the interpersonal and team skills, which could be conflict management, which could be just negotiations. So those people who are in those kind of roles, it just becomes easier for them to remember those kind of techniques. So just a brief overview of where most of these categories are used. So whenever there is a process which requires collection of information, now that collection of information could either be used to create plans, such as you're collecting lesson information or data from lessons learned register, risk register, lessons learned from the lessons learned repository, or you are using just the templates to create plans. Those are all data gathering techniques. And you also need to gather data to conduct analysis. So data gathering techniques is mostly used in initiation, planning, monitoring, and control. So if you can fairly remember that these are the three main phases where data gathering technique is used, you can train your mind to then remember different tools and techniques that are used in different processes. Similarly, data analysis and representation techniques are techniques where the processes which require you to analyze data to drive future decisions. In other words, it's in today's jargon, it's called database solution. So you are using data, historical data, to drive future decisions, or just to create reports, be it status report, be it progress report. All those are forecast. All those are data analysis and representation technique, and those are mostly used during the planning and monitoring and control stage of phase of the project. Whereas the soft skill side is that those techniques are mostly limited to planning and executing, because that is when you have most amount of interaction with human beings. So wherever you have the most amount of interaction, be it managing teams, developing teams, that is when you use the soft skills or the decision making, communication skills, the intrapersonal or team skills. So if you can fairly remember where the six categories are mostly used, you can probably further nail down which tools and techniques are used for specific processes. One other thing you can do to remember tools and techniques is to remember that there are certain processes that have tools and techniques which are not used anywhere else except those processes. So for instance, during the initiation stage, there is identify stakeholder process. So stakeholder analysis or stakeholder mapping or representation is specifically used for identify stakeholder process. They are not used anywhere else. So now you know, now it's fairly easy for you to remember that there are certain tools and techniques that that are only used for these processes and they're not used anywhere else. So that way it becomes much more easier for you to remember. Another example is conduct procurement, advertising, bidder conference, proposal evaluation, and negotiation. Those are not used anywhere else except conduct procurement. So this sort of using this logical way to remember or memorizing stuff it just becomes easier for people to memorize these key points. I have just listed down a few of the processes. Definitely reach out to us if you need a full list, or you can just go ahead and create your own list. But yeah, that's another logical way to remember certain tools and techniques. So in summary, have a basic understanding of the tools and techniques. Don't just remember them for the sake of remembering them. Try to know what that tool or technique is doing. Is it a data gathering technique? It is a data analysis technique? Is it a data representation technique? Or does it fall on the soft side of the project management? Is it a communication skill? Is it a team skill, intrapersonal skill? Those kind of things would really help you memorize tools and techniques in a logical way. The second is if you can pinpoint processes that have unique tools and techniques, then it becomes fairly easy for you to remember them. And on the flip side, that there are certain processes that have common tools and techniques. So if you remember it for one, you can probably remember it for all other processes. One such that I can remember is for every time you have a plan space management, so be it plan cost management, plan schedule management, whatever you can put, expert judgment and meetings are the two tools and techniques that are always used there. So that's another way to remember that. And if you can understand and know, you can probably, it becomes much more easier for you to remember these tools and techniques. Again, please go ahead, subscribe to the channel for more amazing videos, and we will come back to you with such short videos that can help you get better in your exam.